All right, good morning. Happy Monday. All right, so it looks like we have a winner in a continuation pattern here. And it wasn't everywhere. As reviewing over the weekend, S&Ps had this continuation pattern. The Qs, basically shrugged off topping tails. And the Dow was like a miracle recovery, basically, from that big down day. So we had that big down day on Wednesday in a lot of stocks, and it was ignored, which is bullish. And so there are multiple levels of bullish events that have happened. And I think the way prices are trading, I think institutions are a bit tentative on missing out, but also from the other side of, hey, I'm ready to get out of this thing at any moment. So it's a very volatile intraday moves. It doesn't look so bad. It doesn't look bad at all, actually, as we're looking at the futures here on the daily time frame. But just the gaps ups and the gaps down, you don't see as much here because there's 24-hour chart. You're not getting any sound over there on YouTube? Can you guys hear me in the chat room? Yes. I had some technical things going on here. I don't know how to over the weekend, but I thought I fixed all that. How to connect to YouTube. Oh, there's a microphone. Search with your voice. No, I don't want to search anything. Oh, allow to use your mic. But I don't want to search. Can you hear me now? Microphone on YouTube. Hate new technology stuff. Give me a second, everybody. Yes, you hear me? Okay, cool. All right. How to allow it over there. Okay, cool. All right. So on YouTube, just to repeat quickly, I was talking about continuation patterns, which is what has occurred over here. And it's, oh man, things are touchy here. I downloaded Zoom again. And some things changed. All right. So little continuation pattern here. And the best continuation patterns happen right after the move begins. Now, I've seen these work, and this is working. But as we look at other markets, it's not moving like this. And for whatever reason, I don't have the news on, but this is selling off here pre-market. As you can see, it's coming down, back down toward the low of the day. I don't know how much that means anything as far as going into today. We'll find out. And so just looking at SPX here. And so this is more of, I would say, kind of the craziness that happened last week. And we had this sell setup. Now, it's not the kind of sell setup that I view as let's short this, unless you're willing to do it maybe as an overnight short and cover it in the morning because of the strength of this move up, which just began from this bottoming action here. But it did suggest that it could come down a bit further and maybe we'd get a continuation pattern down here. Well, as we all know, on the earnings report, it gapped up and it rallied up to the high there. And then the crazy part, it gapped down almost to the low of the green bar the next day. But it rallied all the way back. So we know that things were a bit higher and they're coming in here. Now for SPX, to get far enough away, you got to go 46.50. I'm not so sure that's a good bet in a market that is acting this bullishly. Get this out of my way here. I have to reset this. Show price. It's way up there. So it really isn't bad. I guess, when I was just eyeballing that 46.50, I think that's doable. And on the downside was 45.60. What I got written down here. 45.60, which, considering that the markets are moving lower here, 46.50 is further away. Now you got to get through Friday's high. So I think that looks to be safe, even though there's nothing up above here. If it gets through there, just going back to the futures. I got everything mixed up again. Where the frig is it? Oh, I must have typed that in here. That looks far enough away from me. This is coming in a little bit, so it's got to get through the high of the day, and it is coming down to support. So there's going to be some buyers down here. So either, this gap fill. Well, it won't be a gap fill, but coming down to around 4,600 is what we call minor support. Probably it's not going to come down here into the gap fill. This is where buyers would show up more aggressively. Now, whether they can do it at the overnight low here, we'll see. And we always look to the left. With the futures, we look there to see. I know there's very little there. I don't know if maybe it came in. It probably shrunk from when I looked at it before. So you can consider 46.40 or 45. When I looked there, it was about 40 cents by 50 something. But you want to get far enough away, and considering that this is coming down, I think that's a lot safer than 45.60 if things continue to come in. But let's see, see if it gets down here. 45.65. Yeah. Well, that's down near Friday's low. So that's 45.65. That would be a big move intraday. You got a swing low here. You got this swing low here. That's 45.82. 45.82. And then you got the top of that bar right there. So when I look at these, I just, are they safe? As safe as possibly could be safe? And I would say yes, because you're way down here. And as aggressive as buyers have been, we have to believe they're going to be aggressive again. So going down there should be fine. And since this is coming down as it is, and for wherever I looked at premium before, it'll probably be a bit more at the open. So yeah, I can say 45.65 down there should be fine. All right. Open interest 45.65. Yeah, that's a plus. I had some technical issues, so I'm a little behind here, but I'll get everything caught up as the day goes on. All right. So NQs. Remember all the things that we cover here, pre-market and during the trading day. You got to become accustomed to the thought process. And one of the things that has been mentioned as things have moved up, and we had some signs of weakness last week, was our first reference point of support is always the prior day's low. So even though we get topping tail bars, we look for some confirmation, and there was none. And so from a daily chart perspective, even though they were topping tails, there was no confirmation of breaking the low, which is bullish. And now we've got a range expansion bar that closed near its high. Now, one of the things to think about is when prices are moving up, when they initially start to move up, you normally get bars that are closing at their high. Then as it gets a little further, of course, there's some apprehension about, will it now pull back? If it's at resistance, there might be a failure, and you start getting selling on advances. And then and again, price patterns are pictures of what traders think. Are they confident, or are they uncertain? Are they bearish? So a consolidation, and now they're bullish again, and it closes at the high. Now it goes a little higher, and they're like uncertain again. Okay, it's normal. It's going up. We look to the left. There is resistance there. So there's been selling on the advances, but it doesn't break the low. And then on Friday, well, you know what happened Friday was it gaps down, and then it rallies at 10 o'clock. It's, the S&Ps formed this little double top. It tries to roll over. It fails at 10:30. It rallies, and then at lunchtime it rolls back over again, and then toward the end of at 3:30, all of a sudden it ain't going down, and it rips up and closes up near the high. So after things have been moving up for a bit like this and topping tail, now you're super confident after it's been going up this far. It leads me to think, be a little careful here, because from a contrarian point of view, if they're that confident, especially on a Friday, to close it at the high of the day after it's been going up that much, you got to be a little apprehensive. Still yet, it's got to break a prior day's low, or at a minimum in a situation like this, it has to close deeply into this bar, since it's a range expansion bar. We'll see what happens. If it just hangs up there today, it's just a consolidation day where the momentum slowed down. It continues to be bullish. And we're breaking a little support here. And Dow. Now, to really appreciate this, you got to look at the actual cash Dow, because that just looks like a bullish 180 reversal. To get that big of a bar, and it immediately recovers on the next bar, meaning it almost went back up to the top of it in one day, and it did on the second day. But normally they stay in the bottom half of the bar, and maybe you get a 1, 2, 3 down, but it's still in a bullish mode after that move up. So now it's negated that, and continuation patterns. Can it continue? Right, continuation patterns are supposed to continue to advance, and it also implies the potential for a measured move. Now that would be so bullish. Well, it did start with 2 wide range bars, but a measured move is like you take this and you extend it from here up. Where that would put it, so we'll have to put it somewhere up here. I don't know if that'll happen, but it does produce that thought that buyers were so aggressive to turn this around like that after it was extended. Russell just continues to be a mess, but negated that big red bar. It's bullish. But can it get out of this disgusting range that it's been in forever? And we'll see. Transports, backed off a little bit. Just, things are a little extended here. So we had our internals give us a sell signal a week ago Friday. And for the most part, as we look at other markets, right, this has been strong for the most part over last week, other than seeing those new highs in S&Ps and the Qs. Most things chopped around last week. So there's been this correction. And one of the themes pre-market was, are we going to have a price correction or a time correction? Time correction meaning chopping, going sideways rather than pulling back. And up until this point, it appears that it's a time correction, which is bullish. And what else we could look here? Interest rates are 5-year popping back up here. One of the things that I mentioned, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, I don't have time to show it now. Maybe tomorrow, it's getting late. But what you see is that the yields between these shorter instruments and these longer instruments have been contracting, and they more so even last week. So they haven't reached a point where, let's say, it's a very bearish thing when it does, but they're really coming closer and closer together. So I'm just telling everybody, keep an eye on this 5-year yield, and because it's been the strongest as it's been going up. And you can just set an alert up here, and just to be aware that this is going up. This yield curve continues to contract or tighten, and eventually, it's one of the best pieces of market internal information that there is for a long-term view as to whether we're going to have a bear market. And it's not there yet and hasn't been for a very long time, but not a reason to not keep it as a tool that we monitor on a continuous basis. And that's it for me, Dan. Bonds futures are bottoming out here. Got this retest, they're slopping back and forth. We'll see what today brings. It's not there. Yeah, you should be looking, monitoring it, and Dan can take over. I mean, this is just one of them, and it's popping back up here this morning, but it's the shortest versus the longer, and you can see how it's declining there. And it's pretty far from a concern yet, but it's something to be aware of. Okay. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Yeah, I think those flattening yield curves are what I think initially caused a little nervousness last month. But obviously, what were the markets up? 6, I don't know, big whatever percent I wrote, 5 to 6 and change for October. So surely no Halloween scare this year. So we're actually very light in inventory, so not much to talk about there. There's no problems. We've got long and shorts on our list today in the letters. And the shorts are, they're only going to trigger if they're weak. Actually, McKesson here, my alarm went off with this one print. But sell set up here, Home Depot, if it takes out this red bar, so I gave it a little extra. So not Friday's low, not Thursdays, not Wednesdays, but Tuesdays. Then that should be a credit spread, similar type of pattern coin. If it takes out this big old fat green bar, then I like that as a call spread. Raoul AAON. Yeah. I actually scanned all the 1, 2, 3s also, and I don't remember seeing that one unless it's on my list up here. But I actually wrote down a lot of 1, 2, 3s. There was like 41 of them, and only one bearish one. So that the quantity of stocks that show up in different scans in and of itself tells you something about the market. So right there, bull to bear 1, 2, 3, it's 41 to 1. TX, it's bottoming pattern. I don't know, it looks okay, but it's a bottoming pattern. JR. I'd rather trade AAON. I mean, that's strength in an uptrend. Much rather trade this. That looks good. GSS, a little stock here, gapping up pretty big. See Bitcoin up 1,800. There was some news in the NVAX world. No pattern now. And then Myrna's down on news that it's actually, this was on my list if it broke out. And it still is, set an alarm up there. If it can negate this gap down and break out, but it's a sell setup in the weekly, they're halting their whatever development phase they're in about trying to give the jab to kids that they said could have some adverse effects. Oh, thanks, Peter. And it's all over the news about New York and these big cities. Yeah, De Blasio gave 9 a.m. deadline for all types of workers, and now a third of firemen, and then they're shutting down firehouses, and it's just so stupid what they're doing there. Hard enough getting people to work, so now you're making it more difficult for them. Fast alarm just went off. This is a wide range breakout, small downside shakeout. I like that long. Teradyne, yeah, unless it's just a day trade thing. But that was a beautiful gap on Wednesday. Wow. Must have been earnings. Well, no, I don't even know. I mean, but had a big old gap on Thursday too. Exactly, Joan. The video, look at the video. It's on fire at all-time highs. Tesla, wow, Tesla was up $20 earlier. Now it's up 32. We actually did a call spread on this Friday, but the 1150s, and we stopped out at 1104 at a profit. But this thing's, Greg, what do you call it? The air is getting thin up here. This thing, there's a lot of bullish sentiment on this thing right now, so we'll watch it for a turn. Facebook, remember I said there was absolutely no pattern, but I like the Friday action on the news that they're changing their name to Meta. It's sloppy as can be, but this is a put spread idea for me. On Netflix is too. It's not anywhere nearly as extended from the MAs as Tesla is. Wow, look at this. I mean, remember we did MA analysis? Look at this big double, this triple bottom actually. Look at these converging MAs and boom. Wow. LCID, I'm Janet. I wish I got us into this on Thursday. I was watching it the prior 2 days, and then it took off, and it doesn't look like it was an extended entry now that the chart has resized itself, but it actually was a little extended on Thursday. But I said you could do it, stop under the green bar. Check your drop down, folks. Yeah, if everyone I didn't notice any, Austin. If you hear me talking, sometimes it's to YouTube people, but yeah, your drop down should be to everyone. This thing made greater than 100% retracement, rounding, gapping up. It's pulling in from the pre-market highs, but that's worth watching. A trip, I think, had earnings, or no, downgrade. It's near the prior lows, so it's actually exceeding it here a little bit. But we'll see what it does. Tilray Dog got a downgrade. They just won't let up on this poor sector. Deere 347 gap into Friday's high, but they've been on strike, so there's some word that they may be resolving that today. CNA It either got an upgrade or had earnings. I forget which, but no pattern right now. NBR positive mention in Barron's. It's not a double bottom the way we teach, but it's a bullish retest. Bullish retest, rising 200, 20 MA curling, 180 reversal. It's too expensive of a stock and it's too whippy for me. But over last week's high, this is a nice bottom, nice turn. What else did we just talk about? I don't know what's up with this thing. Wow, it looks like a Reddit toy or maybe an EV or TKR 180 reversal, but no pattern. All right, there you go. Yeah, yeah, it's back. Yeah, that makes sense. Gelled little gap breakout, but sloppy. Well, these are a couple earning stocks. IBAC, don't like the way it trades. No, well, 30-minute high maybe. It's a buy setup at the 50. We'll come back to that. L Lima. Nah. PHM alarm. All right, so 5-minute low is a go. That's our trading rules. If it triggers within the first 5 minutes, don't take it, provided it's not extended. You buy a 5-minute high or low. ON